the next one is New Haven. You can see that our novice numbers are pretty good, both in reading and math. You can see our math is a little bit stronger in novice. We have fewer students there that we have to work out. But you can see we've got double digits in apprentice, so once again, we've got to push a little bit harder on that apprentice category. We have a few over there in distinguished. Some of them are canceling us out. It's 6 and 6. You can see there in the math in third grade. So we're not losing, but we're not gaining either. We're working on daily interventions. They've actually increased their instructional time in the elementary part for reading and math this year and developed a writing time. Ms. Hanloser is working on a writing program there. Students there, I feel like, have a stronger awareness of their goal and what this data is telling them. They just completed their academic coaching and they talked to them about their score and what you need to get to and how this correlates to K-Prep. So the kids are receiving that. They actually have individual coaches. Mr. Payton and Ms. Clark have divided up the kids and they're sort of being mentors to them so they can focus on specific goals. They are trying to put in place an ESS program. Some of our leadership lab teachers are trying to put that in place after school. We have not received a big response from the families yet. We're still working on that. We've advertised twice already. We do have a few students coming regularly in the morning in 3, 4, 5, but we want to also offer that after school, and so we're still working on that, and we're trying to include the middle school as well in that ESS program. It's not just an elementary ESS.
Remind us what a ESS is, please.
It's extended school sort of services. It's just like an after-school tutoring, so to speak, just with some extra help.
Okay, thanks.
We usually try to focus on reading and math.
And it's no cost to the family,
No.
just they just have to show up.
Exactly. The teachers are paid through ESS funding, that's state funding, and so teachers are paid to be there.
So why do you think the families are not taking advantage of that? I mean, any feedback or?
One thing, this is off the subject, but they had a very fun night on Friday night, and I would have thought it's a mystery night. And they held it, and they didn't have any participation. So we don't have our finger on that just yet. Exactly why, do you have a?
No, the parent involvement is a little bit lower at New Haven than some of our other schools. I know we've tried, alternating nights, like a Tuesday or a Thursday, try to avoid church services, Friday nights, those kinds of things. They did get a pretty good response on a math night that they hosted last year on a Friday night, so they tried Friday night again, but it didn't work. They're advertising, I know Mr. Payton puts it in his weekly newsletter out to families about ESS, what it provides, why, their kids need to be there. I know the students that they wanted to target specifically, actually they sent letters home. I think they mailed the letters. They may have placed them in the folder, don't hold me to that. But I know an individual letter went home. Like I said, they tried to have an ESS night and a kickoff. Right now, it's just a little bit of a low buy-in. I don't know if their kids are involved in other extracurricular activities that fall on those nights, and they feel
Do they get transportation? I mean, is there?
currently, no.
No.
I went to the math night last year at New Haven, and 70% of the kids that were there were from Boston. It was a Boston-New Haven joint venture, and I took my daughter, and I knew almost everybody there because they were all from Boston. It was bizarre. It didn't make any sense to me.
And I've been
It's a
working.
great program, great night. The kids enjoyed it.
So when you have the ESS that's like right after school,
Mhm.
is there transportation for that?
There's not.
There's not.
I wonder if that's part of the hangout.
We have asked, we've put that on the letter before, saying, would your child need transportation?
Gotcha.
And I think last year, Ms. Badgett said maybe 2, said, and they worked out something else as far as that's concerned.
You can transport with using those funds, so it's not that there isn't money available to do it if they will participate.
This is a no-brainer. I don't understand.
If a child's in the novice
I get
category
it.
and they participate in the after-school program, like the Yellow Jacket Center of Boston, I know there's one at New Haven.
Well,
I mean, can they just, I guess you can't force them to do it, but if they're already there, I mean, can you identify those kids that are in, I mean, is there an overlap there is what I'm guessing? Are those kids already at school, but they're sitting in the daycare function versus coming to the ESS?
Yes.
So they're just,
Yes, but usually we don't force, like I said, we have to usually have parent permission for them to participate in those academic. Now, I'm not gonna say that a teacher doesn't go down there and get somebody out of childcare kind of thing and say, let me work on this. I'm not gonna say that doesn't happen, but typically we like to have that parent permission to keep them for a session. We can offer snacks, like I've thought about that. Make sure you advertise about the snack, and actually, the Leadership Lab candidates, I've been working with them on an incentive program that if your child attends a session after school, then you receive some bonus points, maybe on your lowest test grade or something you're struggling with. And it's not to say, like, if you stay after for a math session, that if you finish early, that maybe they could help you with your homework too. You know, it could also be a homework help. It's not meant to be that. It's actually tutoring on a skill that we're weak in. But I'm not going to say that a teacher wouldn't help them. You know, that's sort of like a win-win as well, but we're just not getting the
It's a
buy-in.
shame. That is
So-
a real shame.
So you said that last year you took, was it one daughter?
I took my daughter, my neighbor across the street took his 2 kids, my brother
Okay.
took his daughter. And then when I went, I knew almost everybody there because they were all from Boston.
So, so you took it, why? Why did you take your daughter, if I can ask?
I'll
You mind?
honestly tell you, no, because I got a thing home in her folder that said there was a superhero math night at New Haven. It was free, it was educational, and it just seemed like the right thing to do. So we took off work an hour early and took him over there, and I told my brother he needed to take his kid, and he did.
Are you the older sister? Did you tell your brother I'm the older sister, or is he? the
No,
older
he
brother?
he doesn't read to her folder like I do.
Oh,
And
okay.
she's right there, so I know. So, and she would be mad if, you know,
Yeah, if
it's
her
a peer
cousin got
pressure
to
thing.
go,
It's a
if her
peer
cousin
pressure
got
thing,
to go
yes.
and she didn't get to go.
Right, exactly, and it was a big deal to Boston PTA pushed it. And so every mom or dad that's in the PTA took their kids. It was a great event. They had a photo area, I mean, a lot of work. They got games, math games to bring home with them, prizes. I mean, it was a lot of time and effort went into that night, and I couldn't believe it was free.
So, and so as I listen to you there, one of the things that I hear you say is that the reason why you took your daughter wasn't because she was having problems with math.
No, it was because it was fun and free, and it was school related, and
You do like we all did, used to do. You take them because it's a school activity.
right, it's the right thing to do.
It's like
Somebody's worked really
parents
hard to
going
do that.
PTA or PTO, it's a school function, you need to be there,
Right.
plain and simple to me. But it's not anymore, for some reason, it's not as held as high regard as it used to be for some strange reason. I don't know, I really don't.
And the PTA is very active at New Haven. They're very
They
supportive
are.
of the
Absolutely.
school.
They are.
I know that they put things on social media to advertise as well. So I'm not sure, you know, I'm open to ideas and suggestions, but I know they're targeting several 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and they're also catching them in the morning because, you know, they maybe arrive early and they're just sitting in the gym. So they're opening up computer labs to work with those students in the morning. So we're trying to catch them as much as possible. But I really feel like to target some of these specific numbers and skills, we just need a little bit of extra time. So if we could have that good, strong ESS program after school, then I feel like,
It sounds like you have the strong program. It sounds to me like you don't have the support or you don't have the parents that want to participate. I mean, I don't, and to me, I don't get that at all. I mean, I
I
don't.
mean, what's, Norman, what's your insight that you've got? I mean,
You know, the PTO is having the same frustration. And I think if we get the kids on board, I think they'll pack the news home and they'll get back involved. To give an answer or I don't know why parents are not getting active with their kids learning. I don't know.
I mean, your daughter is a green or blue most likely, to simplify and talk about colors. And that doesn't mean that even though there's a activity at the school, that just because your daughter's green or blue, every time you're gonna go just because it's the right thing to do. Because there's gonna be times when life is crazy.
Right.
And you're like, honey, I know I said we were gonna go, but life is crazy tonight, we just can't, I'm sorry. There's gonna be those.
I'm in a unique situation. I have a helper, and
Yeah.
so if Amelia will take her if she wants to
Yeah.
go. You know what I'm saying? But it's, not everybody has that. Maybe, I mean, I guess it's probably a situation of, for lack of a better word, if you're at home and you're hammered, you can't drive your kid back to school. You know, if you've been drinking all day or you've been doing drugs or something, you're not gonna get up and take a shower and take your child to school for extra work. And I mean, we see
Well,
that.
I would hope that that's not the case.
Well, but I think a lot of times that people do not come back to school. I mean, you see the people who are at ball games and stuff, and you know they've been doing inappropriate things that they probably shouldn't be around their kids doing. It just, I think it's the world we live in. I think the reality is that people are selfish and don't put their children first. So they're gonna stay home and watch reality TV and not bring their kids to math night.
I think when we were talking earlier about the work that the Frisky coordinators do, we talked about their goal being to remove barriers so that kids can come to school ready to learn. And I think we don't always know what those barriers are.
Right.
And I'm sure there are some of our families that face those kinds of barriers. There are also some of our families where it may be a single parent or it may be both parents that are working 2 or 3 piecemeal jobs in order to keep food on the table and
Sure.
clothes in their kids' closets. And those things do get in the way when it comes time to, as you said, turn around and go back to the school that evening. So I think part of what you're hearing, and I appreciate these ladies knowing what's going on in the schools enough to be able to tell you that we're working on ESS, because that's a part of the day that we haven't quite cracked that nut yet, but at the same time, they're not waiting on that. We've built the intervention opportunities into the school day. We're getting better during the class period. One of the things that we're talking about on a fundamental level is making sure that we do everything we can in the first go-around with the content in the classroom so that we don't need intervention, so that we don't need ESS. That's not a simple nut to crack either. But every sliver of time that we can get with kids and families, we're trying to exploit that to make sure that we're getting kids moved up through these scales so that they can be college and career ready when they, at each level, meet those standards and then be ready to walk out when they're finished with us at high school. So I really appreciate it. We've gotten so much further into the detail of this work tonight, that this year and last year as well, than we've ever gotten before. And I think we're going to see progress, but we're always going to have barriers that are outside our control. So we just keep hammering away at every single nail we can find to try to drive it home.
So let's talk about middle school. If you look up there in grades 6 through 8, you don't see a double digit in novice at all. So that's
Congratulations, Brett.
Yes, that is a celebration right there, because this time last year that was not the case. So we are making gains. She's making gains too. I don't mean to, but we are very competitive. So I've got one little deal here, because she usually beats me just because of middle school and their hormones and all the things that are going on. So I want to tell you that I'm proud of that novice number there. We have single digits in math and reading. 7th grade, if you look at that, we're looking at bonus, because we have 9 kids. I'm sorry, no, we're not. I'm sorry. I misspoke that. Let's look at the top. For some reason, I thought we got bonus, but we don't. But we will. I promise you, we're going to have a bonus. We're going to get bonus.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
We do have 2. Our numbers in the middle school are too large with apprentice. So we've got to target that daily instruction there. As little as a 10% movement will tip the scale in our favor. So we're right on the edge, and they're working so hard. Those teachers are just working their tails off. We've still got to push our students, and we've got to grow as teachers. Apprentice is too high, and we have had much growth there, but more growth is needed. The Leadership Lab, I think, has helped tremendously. That we've seen growth through the PLC process. Amory and I, Cheryl, Dr. Orr, we've all been to watch their PLC process. They are serving as a model to another middle school. Last week, as recently as last week, another middle school visited New Haven to watch their teachers in action because they wanted to bring the rigor up in their PLC process. And that it's a good thing there. We have seen buy-in from all teachers across the board. They are bought in. Their administrators are working like beavers. I mean, they're just working so hard all the time on all aspects, but particularly on direct instruction and in those classrooms. They've just done interim assessments. Please go down there and visit. You can see all the kids have been through coaching with the administrators and their teachers. They have set their goals on the wall. It's a mountain, and they're climbing that mountain. On the other side, you see the teacher wall, where the teacher accountability is there, where they're using Marzano's research-based strategies every day in the classroom. And each teacher has posted what they have been doing with those research-based strategies. So I'm very, very excited. Again, I'll tell you, we have single digits in novice in the middle school, and that's something to celebrate all over this room. We're just really happy with the progress that has been made at New Haven, but we still have ways to go, as we talked about earlier. We've got to get the parent involvement piece going, and that certainly will help us.
But that's
Do you
only,
think-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you think once these kids start showing that they are succeeding, that they will bring the parent piece into it? Do you think that would?
I would hope that would be
I
the
hope so.
case, but here is what
Because-
I think we need to do. I think we need to grow the child. And if that parent connection is not there, we've got to teach that child, here's what you need to do to succeed, and this whole building is full of people that are going to help you. Whatever you need, we're going to fix it, we're going to help you, we're going to get you the snacks over the weekend, we're going to get you the support that you need. We have ESS here. We're going to bring you to where you need to be. Thomas Nelson has gone and visited there. They have gone to Thomas Nelson. The people from Thomas Nelson have gone to New Haven, and the New Haven people have gone. We've already made those trips with the middle school, so the middle school can see what's expected when they move to Thomas Nelson, and then the students that are going to Nelson County have been there as well. So we have focused them very much in the middle school. We've taken them on a college visit so they can see what that looks like. We've taken them to the high school so they can see that, and we've taken them on a manufacturing visit so they can see what the workplace looks like. So they have been exposed to many different things this year. So I hope that if we're not successful in getting the parent involved by the middle school level, that we can make those relationship pieces happen with those students, where they know that they have a trusted adult that's with them all the way and is their cheerleader and their mentor and their support system. And then we hand them off to Thomas Nelson or the high school, and the same thing continues, and we grow the child. If the parent's not going to get invested, then we need to particularly focus on growing the child to be responsible for their own learning.
How do you feel like Thomas Nelson's parent involvement is compared to New Haven? Can you give me some kind of insight on the New Haven kids?
Once they get to
Parent,
Thomas
is-
Nelson.
yeah, once they get to Thomas Nelson. I know it's pretty big cheerleader out there.
Yes,
His name's Mr. Bradley, and he does an awesome job
he
at
does.
motivation.
He does, but he's got a female counterpart now at New Haven named Robin Hanloser,
Yes, I
and
know
Tiffany
that.
Clark, and Kevin Payton, and Mandy Perrier, and they're cheerleaders too. And then there are 34 teachers there that have gotten on the ship. And so I think that's going on. I will tell you that last year I attended a band concert over at Thomas Nelson, and it was Boston and New Haven together. Their middle school bands were together and they were performing, and there were no seats. I mean, I stood up. It was packed, and the parents were there because New Haven's band was there and Boston's middle school band was there. So when Anne Marie and they're telling me that they don't have participation at the school, I saw this huge crowd of people. I don't know the ratio of New Haven to Boston, but there were parents. I mean, it was packed.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm getting at is, And I know Mr. Page is doing a great job, Ms. Clark and all them, Ms. Hanloser. I spoke to all of them, and you when you come out of the room, you feel so great, because you know the kids are going to succeed. But I want to know what the ratio is once they get to Thomas Delson. If they can get parents involved in Thomas Delson, we should be able to get them at New Haven. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know.
Yeah, but you got two different things here, Keisha. You got a high school, and to me, it's a different ballgame when you get a high school going. Because I sit and watch, I go to these ball games, and to see Thomas Nelson kids over here rah, 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 as opposed to Nelson County kids. And they're louder, I will say that. Thomas Nelson's kids are louder, and you've got Nelson County kids. To me, it's just a different dynamic of coming from Boston and New Haven than it is coming from Bloomfield, Chaplin.
Yeah, but what Mr. Norman's getting at there, though, is if it's happening there at the high school,
Why can't?
Why can't-
which is physically further away.
But look over here where it says you're getting better at the 7th and 8th grade. Am I not correct? If you're getting okay at the 7th and 8th grade, what is the 7th and 8th grade to me, in my feeble little mind, what are those people doing differently to not call in the 3, 4, and 5, 6th grade
Well,
I
kids?
that's the
think
academic
that's-
piece of it, though. I mean, I think what you're getting at there is you're talking about more of that involvement, that in community
Parents.
involvement, and kind of tagging on to what you were saying, Ms. Diane, that, you feel like you needed to be there, whether your child needed or not. Which is where I was kind of going. I know Dr. Orr, he's trying to get in here as well to give us some sanity to what we're talking about here. But the fact that it's further away physically from where the parents live, and also, let's all be honest, elementary level as parents, we're much more involved. Middle school, we're a little bit less, mainly because our middle schoolers tell us to leave them alone. And high school is even less, because at that point as parents, we typically think our children are a little bit more self-sufficient, and that they don't need us there for every little art program or band program, although we want to be there.
I think I agree with what you guys are saying. I think there is a difference, like you were saying, in that, in what kind of parent involvement you're going to have at the different levels. I'm a parent of a middle schooler, and sometimes I'm so happy for him to have something to do that doesn't require my presence, because middle schoolers are not always pleasant people. It's just a fact. So I think it is typical to see that parent involvement drop off in middle school, and then when you get to high school, the parent involvement looks really different. There are more extracurriculars, and they're competitive, and it's a...
Yes.
I mean, I'm an academic, nerdy kind of guy, but I would rather, in many ways, go watch a basketball game than math night, no matter how exciting math night might be. So I think some of that's very natural, and just is kind of how we're all built. We'll keep cracking at it.
That's all I ask.
Yeah, but Anthony, I'm sorry, Dr. Orr.
You call me
Daddy, let me tell you.
any of those is better than some names that probably occurred to you.
Probably, yeah, you're right. The thing I'm saying is when you're in
kidding.
maybe I was just different. Maybe I was raised differently, because when we were in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, my mother, it was like whipping the stick at you. This is the way it is, people. Boys and girls, when you sit here at this, and I'm going to go to school with you, and I'm going to do the PPA thing, and I'm going to make sure.
Yeah, but when was
But I
that?
guess-
When was
No,
that?
don't give me
No,
that.
no, that-
No.
Your word was your mother.
Your mother.
How many
I'm
of these kids
saying
are not
that.
being raised by a mother, father, or even, it's a
Yeah.
grandparent? My
It's different
parents
now.
help with my daughter, but my dad's in bed at 7:30. So if there's math night at 8 o'clock, I can't rely on him to help me.
That's right.
So if we have grandparents raising children in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th
And
grade,
they don't want to.
And-
They
and they're
can't.
and
They
they're
can't.
And the thing that we have to do is we have to move away from that thinking of, well, why isn't it still being done that way? Why does this still not happen that way? Because it's not, and it's not going to come back. We can provide support, and so the question would be is what are the kinds of things that we can provide as support to not recreate what happened whenever we were in elementary school, whenever it came to that parent involvement, but to be able to try and help parents do what they do want to do and what they can do that will help their kids.
The competition for time.
Yes.
Is much, much different, and Miss Berry's not that much older than me, but when I was a kid, there
Oh,
were
thank you.
only, I try to make up for it every now and then, there were only 3 channels, and yet we had to climb a tower and turn the thing manually to get the 3rd one. My kids are, as much as I didn't want them to be, they're involved in basically club activities that aren't associated with the school. There's pressure that is almost unavoidable, because trust me, I tried to avoid competitive cheer. I lost.
Yes, you did.
I'm sure we'll all be happy, but the competition for time, and it comes across all these things. Some of it is entertainment, but a lot of it's going to be work, and so again,
To me, that it boils down to priorities. I mean, it's all about priorities. So
Well-
if you have a child that's struggling in math, okay, and they have an opportunity to, versus going, to cheer practice, I mean, to me, the logical thing to do would be to do the ESS so that your child can pass math,
But that could be the case that's happening there, but it also could be my choice for my priorities is either I've got to make sure I'm not late to work this time, because they said if I'm late one more time, I'll lose my job, which means I don't have the money at all to pay for anything.
Right, but if we have ESS that's right after school and we have transportation provided, there's nothing,
Yeah, but it goes back though to the fact that that parent may be a second shifter, or it may be grandma or grandpa. I don't know that there's any one single panacea, whether it's transportation or whatever the case might be, and I don't even know if we really know what is causing a lack of it, because we can come up with a whole list of things that we think it is.
And I would have to agree with Mr. Orr, it's time. I mean, I have
Yeah.
4 children, and they're involved in everything, and it's time constraints. And, my kids are my priority as far as academics, and sure, I'm gonna try to make time to do all those academic things. But going back to ESS, I wanted you all to know that's an opportunity, an additional opportunity that we're trying to provide to close the gap, because we are competitive. No, we want those elementary numbers to go down, and so we are providing that. And, if it doesn't work after school, then that's why we're trying the morning. We're getting good participation in the morning, but regardless if they have ESS or not, what I want you to know is those numbers should be going down, because we're changing our practices during the day, and really that's what we've got to provide. We've just got to tune in a little tighter on the skills while they're with us in those hours of the
That's the only
day.
thing we can control in
Yes.
all of this.
But it
And
is getting better. If you look at the
It
chart.
is getting better.
It's getting better. It's just worries me sometimes about the lower grades.
So we're,
It's just simply because they're little and they need all the advantages they can get. Because you don't want them to have to struggle and struggle and struggle all their time, for the 8th, for 7th, 6th grades or whatever.
And-
That's what you think about, is it's such a hardship on the student. It's not a hardship on anybody, except those students that suffer because of such low, we want them to improve, and you can see right there they are. But it's just those 3 or 4 grades that you think, golly, people,
but some things that you're not seeing in the chart too is we've got the K-1-2, so we've got to close the gap there
Yeah.
before they get to 3rd grade. And then hopefully those numbers are going to start being lower at 3rd grade, and just like Mr. Jackie said, they'll gradually go down all the way through. So that, and that takes time. It takes a process, lots of training, lots of buy-in, but I know I was just in a K-1 classroom this week at New Haven, and it was phenomenal. It was higher level thinking, it was student engagement. Ms. Duncan's classroom, it was phenomenal. So you would be pleased at what they're working on in the primary grades to eliminate some of those numbers as well. So we're working school-wide, and regardless whether we have ESS or not, or parent involvement, whatever it may be, we're working very intentionally during the hours we do have them, because that, according to Leader and me, is our circle of control. And the bigger we can make that, the more of an influence we can make. But that's what we're focused on right now.
And
And
I
I
still
really
think-
feel like, I know you're seeing gains, I want to see more, they want to see more, and I think you will see more in the spring.
I think once we get our children going, I think they will pack it home, and you'll see
Right.
some improvement on the parent involvement, I think, hope.
And it builds a sense of intrinsic motivation. I think right now, after the academic coaching, you can go down and ask a kindergartner at New Haven, what's my goal? They should be able to tell you and how they're gonna get there. So I think that's important too, and that was a piece maybe we were missing before that we now have in place.
Well, I look for us to make it work, one way or another. Make it work.
I'm all about it.
Good, yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other questions?